people. This is one of our senators. We got 2 senators that represent Hillsdale, but this is the conservative one. And he's got something, listen guys, seriously. He did something amazing. I'm gonna let him go ahead and describe it real quick while you got about 3 minutes, John. Talk about what you and Carl did.
Yeah, when you say I did something amazing, you don't give me more context. There's so many things, John. What are you talking about? I just appreciate what John's saying and hearing from Mayor Stockford. But what he's talking about is a lawsuit that I was the lead plaintiff on that was announced this past week. And there are 11 of us that are participating. I couldn't name everybody right now. Representative Steve Carr and I kind of took the lead on it, mostly House members who are part of the Freedom Caucus in Michigan, and then 2 of us on the Senate side, Jim Runstead and myself. The lawsuit is basically seeking to completely strike down Proposal 3 of 2018. Just to be clear, because a lot of the political space was talking about Prop 3 from last year, which is the abortion measure. It's not. We're talking about Prop 3 from 2018, which is one of the first proposals that drastically modified our election law here in Michigan. So to go back in time, when I was in the military, I voted absentee. I kept my home of record here in Michigan, but there was a sensible process for absentee voting back then. I would work with my township clerk and justify and ask for a ballot and go back and forth, and she would ask the right questions. 2018 was kind of the first path that the radical left took at dismantling our election system here in Michigan. And then Prop 2 in 2022 is where they went the rest of the way and really gutted the rest of it. So both of those, we're pursuing a federal lawsuit that, if we are successful, will strike both of them out of the Michigan Constitution. And it's also a kind of like asymmetric warfare, right? Because this is a relatively simple constitutional argument. I'm the one who had to go, I don't know if this is a good sign or not, but I had to go walk a lawyer through this and say, this is what we're suing about, or this is what we should be doing. But there just aren't that many people out there that are looking for this fight. You know, I was looking for the fight, so we walked through it, and if we're successful, I mean, we will have spent pennies on the dollar. For both of those initiatives combined, I think the left put about $50 million into getting them across the finish line. And if we can take them out, you know, that'd be a pretty incredible outcome. Even if we don't, the thing that I think is critical is we need people representing all of you who are willing to have these kinds of fights. So that's my honor and my privilege in Lansing. Is there are a lot of people up there that will give you some of the same talking points, but when push comes to shove, they're really not going to go have a fight about it. And I'm ready to, and I enjoy it. So.
Can someone take a picture of John up here? I'm taking the photos as well. Someone help me out?
Can I ask, so what's the argument that you're making in your case, and where's it being held?
Yeah, so it's in the Western District Federal Court. We started in federal court, and the argument is basically that the Elections Clause of the U.S. Constitution says that it's up to the state legislatures to set the time, place, and manner of elections. And what happened in Prop 3 of 2018 and Prop 2 of 2022 is there are 3 ways to modify Michigan's Constitution. Article 12, Section 1 is a process where the legislature proposes a change and then they send it to the ballot for the people to adopt. The second way is Article 12, Section 2, where the citizens initiate a constitutional change through the ballot process. That's the process that was used for Prop 3 of 2018 and Prop 2 of 2022. Our argument is that violates the U.S. Constitution because at no point in that process does the state legislature get involved in setting the time, place, and manner of elections. So we're arguing the process was inappropriate, that it was unconstitutional from the get-go to go through and pass those initiatives. I've said that I think it's probably the case that if they had used Article 12, Section 1, that it would be a constitutional change because the legislature would have voted on it. But keep in mind that the Article 12, Section 1 process for changing the Constitution has a much higher threshold. The legislature first has to have a supermajority to put it on the ballot, and then the people have to have a simple majority to pass it. But that is an indication that if there is something that needs to go through the legislature, a long time ago, we decided that those types of issues need to meet a higher threshold, right? And so these ones did not. And we get into some of the argument about why this is so important. This is not a legal argument, but we point out that Prop 2 in particular last year, I think the number is something like $23 million, most of it from out of state, to pass this initiative, right, to the 6 or 7 million that was spent against it. The two primary messaging points that they focused on in this campaign, number one was that if you pass Prop 2, it's going to give our service members overseas the ability to vote. This is crazy. There's nothing about Prop 2 that made that happen. That is just a heartstrings argument, right? And it's sad if people fall for it. But the one that was even more devious was a ton of, and I have some of the ads on my phone still, mail that was sent out, digital media, claiming that you should vote yes on Prop 2 because it will enshrine in Michigan's Constitution voter ID. Right? This was the ad. They spent millions of dollars on it. And I think it's really unfair to the people because voter ID in particular is about a 90% issue. If you ask all voters across the country, this is not partisan. The vast majority of Democrats believe that voter ID is a good idea. About 90% of people across the board believe it's a good idea. Prop 2 of last year, what it actually did was enshrined in Michigan's Constitution that you can vote without ID. That's what it actually enshrined. So it was a very deceptive campaign. And our argument is that's why our founders gave us these tools, like having a constitutional framework to pass things. You shouldn't put out extremely complicated 4-page constitutional changes and then let outside money spend millions of dollars deceiving the voters. So thank you all.